You are not deaf. You are distracted. If there's a topic that we go over on here quite often, it's distractions. It's purpose. It's planning. It's positioning. And I feel like the reason why we always come back to this distraction conversation is because we live in a world where distraction is common because access is unlimited. You have social media, you have cell phones, you have all these different ways to see things in the world, or for people to get in contact with you. You have your email on your phone, you have your job, you usually have, side hustles, all these different things going on. And there's so many different avenues that can get your attention at one time. And as much as you think you can multitask, as much as you feel you can get a lot done in a short period of time, if we're honest with ourselves, our multitasking is typically not as good as we think it is. So I want to share a story with you guys because it's been a minute, and this week it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me. So, little backstory. Recently I did a campaign, and of course when you do campaigns you have different groups, you have people doing signs, you have people walking, the whole shebang. And one of the jokes was the fact that I couldn't hear. Like, everyone would joke and they'd tell me, like, say it slow, Morgan can't hear you, or text her, she can't hear you. And it kept coming back to me. Like, I'd laugh about it, but it's like, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do have to look at people's mouths when they talk to me. I do ask people, like, hey, can you say that again, or can you repeat it? And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, if I ask you to repeat something 3 times, like, on the 4th time, I'm just going to laugh and say yes. You can be insulting me. And I'm just going to go with, like, whatever you're saying, because I'm not going to have you repeat something all day to me. So anyway, I scheduled an appointment with an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I went this week. So I went, and the doctor was asking me questions, and he asked me, what do I do? And I'm like, I'm an author. And I told him what I just told you. I said, I did a campaign, and that was the joke and all that stuff. So he was looking at my ears, and they sent me to the back to do this hearing test. Did the test. You have to hear certain sounds, click a button, and then you'll hear even words, and you have to repeat it. So I did the test, and I go back, and I'm like, oh, goodness. Like, if I do have a hearing problem, like, what do I do? So the doctor walks back in, and he sits down, and he did, well, Morgan, we got the results. And I just want to let you know that you have perfect hearing. So the doctor is telling me this, and literally I'm doing that thing again where I'm reading his mouth. I'm like, are you sure? Like, perfect? Like, there's no pitch, nothing? And he said, no. And you know what he did? He pointed to my phone, and he said, you have so much going on. So we got in the conversation of, I'm a full-time author. I have a marketing agency, operate a construction company. I'm very involved. And in my mind, I really feel like I'm doing everything I am doing it to the best of my ability. But it made me sit there and really kind of search myself, like, maybe I don't have a problem with hearing. Like, maybe this professional, that has a degree is right. So I told my husband, I told my dad that. I'm like, on the way home, I'm gonna have a little talk with God about this. And I, of course, brought it up. And one of the things that came back to me was, how many times have you prayed about something, right? And you sit there and you're like, oh God, I prayed about this and I'm not getting any answers, or I've been working towards this and I'm not seeing any results. And it's not that God isn't answering you. It's not that the things that you're working on aren't bearing fruit. It's that you're so distracted that you're not hearing what's being said to you. You're so distracted that you're not seeing signs or opportunities of growth. And it really hit home for me because I do that, and I know a lot of us do that. And sometimes our distractions are not our job. Sometimes our distractions are not our cell phone. Sometimes our distractions are our innermost thoughts. Sometimes our distractions are what people are saying or thinking or what we feel our life should look like. And you're so fixated on looking like the perfect picture that you're missing the instruction to have a peaceful, purpose-filled, productive life. And if there's any message that I can leave with you today, is that sometimes the greatest thing you can do is unplug. Sometimes you have to detox and remove yourself from environments, from activities, from influences for you to really see who you are, what you have going for you, the opportunities at hand, and the instructions of not only ordered steps from God, but also ordered stops. Like, look back at times in your life where you're like, oh, I feel like God has given me the sign to stop doing this, to stop being bound by anger, to stop replaying failed scenarios, to stop trying to make this friendship or relationship work. But I see potential here. I could do. He didn't ask you all that. Why are you distracting yourself with your feelings or what the world looks like? Sometimes you just need to be still and listen and focus on that one thing. So what is it that is distracting you? What is it that's making you question if you can hear, if you can see, if what you're doing is right? Because I'm a firm believer that nothing you do, no experience you have, no emotion that you endure is wasted, right? We might mishandle it, we might misunderstand it, but it's all an opportunity to grow. It's all an opportunity to have a greater level of emotional intelligence, of spiritual wisdom, of personal development. It's what we do with it. And I'm just going and just speaking to y'all because why not? If y'all are on this live, y'all are just like me, minding your business at home and just having this conversation. But I feel like it's necessary even when it comes to resentment, right? So where we don't hear all the time. But how distracting is resentment in your life? How distracting is anger, depression, anxiety? Are those things that when you have an opportunity, when you have an ounce of confidence, that you can hear a compliment or you could see that someone appreciates your work or your talent. And then once you get that, now your mind is filled with these things telling you why you're not good enough, why you can't succeed. Or if you're successful, what might happen? Sounds like a distraction. And it's understanding the roots of our distractions. It's understanding the roots of our strongholds. It's understanding the roots of our toxic traits because we all have them. And I feel like if we would be honest with ourselves and stop trying to distract ourselves with more friends or more parties or more food or more, accolades or titles or all these things, we would see that our life would be a lot more peaceful. If we just sat back, we would just be still, and when we just be obedient. A lot of that inner work, it's not that it's necessarily hard. Don't get me wrong, it's painful, right? You got to heal and deal with things. But a lot of the pain that comes from it, like that inner work, is resistance. We don't want to let go of it. We don't want to acknowledge things. We want to say, yeah, I know, but I know I have this problem, but God, I'm this. He knows all the good stuff. You know all the good stuff, but if there's something being made aware in your life, work on that. Address that. And you don't have to address it with everyone, address it within yourself. But know that things are brought to your attention for you to work on them. If there's something exposed to you or within you, it's for you to correct. Not always correct other people, but correct yourself. And limit the distractions in your life. Be honest with yourself. And give yourself the grace and mercy and forgiveness to deal with those things. Because we're not having this conversation together based off of coincidence. I'm not speaking to you and you're not giving me this feedback because there's so many things that you could be doing right now. Again, there are so many distractions, but here we are, both of us, talking about distractions. And also understanding too, like he said, you have perfect hearing. Isn't it amazing how I convinced myself that something was wrong with me? right? I had an issue I needed to fix. I was going to have to go through all this stuff. Maybe I would have needed a medication. Maybe I would have needed some type of aid. And it was me. It was my mind. My mind was crowded. I was distracted. So be mindful of your distractions and don't only identify them, understand the roots of them so you can heal and deal with them, walk in obedience, and thrive in your life. So I'm not going to keep you guys long, but I just wanted to share that short message with you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And also I've had people on here ask me about my poetry and prose collections. Of course, Blooming Bear and The Tears That Taught Me are my poetry and prose. And Questions Christ in the Quarter Life Crisis was my first book. So if you guys are interested in those, I'll drop a link in the comment section. But you tell me, what do you want to talk about next time? Because I get on here randomly. But I really want to make an effort to schedule these conversations, right? I know I'm huge on alignment and, the right word will be the right conversation at the right time. But I feel like there are a lot of conversations, whether it's mental health, spiritual health, life lessons, personal development, that we can honestly grow with each other from, with our vulnerability and our wisdom and our understanding. So what I'll do is I'll ask you to go in the comment section and you tell me some questions that you have for me, or maybe give me some topics that you would like to discuss for our next live, and we'll go from there. So I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.